Alright, guys, this is going to be another rant. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with DeviantArt, but if you're active on DeviantArt or if you comment regularly on DeviantArt, you probably have to deal with this too. And I'm sure a lot of you know what on earth I'm talking about. It's this notification that was introduced. I think it was actually a thing a few years ago, but they got rid of it. But they brought it back in May. Even when it was a thing a few years ago, not everyone got it. I didn't get it, but starting in May, that's when me and a lot of people started to get it. It's like a help welcome new deviants thing. Now I know a lot of you guys are probably gonna be like, well, new deviants always deserve a welcome. It's good to welcome them. It's important to welcome them, and I mean, I can understand that. Yeah, it is good to welcome new deviants, but not everyone wants to do that. That's the thing. Some people are shy, some people are introverted, some people just rather stick to other types of deviants or deviants that have been around longer. Not everyone is wired to welcome everyone, and that's what these notifications do. They basically give you a notification telling you to welcome a random new deviant in a random picture. And I just find it so annoying because it has absolutely nothing to do with us. Notifications should have to do with our stuff, not other people. And another argument a lot of you probably have is just turn it off. Well, the thing is, you can't. I know, it's really stupid. You cannot even turn them off. If you could turn them off, I wouldn't even be doing a rant about this right now. Because I would just turn them off and move on. But since DeviantArt practically forces these on us, then therefore people have the right to complain. If it was a choice, if we could turn it off, then I can see why complaining about something would be frowned upon. But since it's literally forced on us, people have the right to complain. Like I said, I know it's important to welcome new deviants, but not everyone wants to. Some people are shy, some people are not very social. I can be like that. Sometimes I can have social anxiety when it comes to socializing with people I don't know very well. So yeah, I think it should now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they should get rid of this altogether, because it can be helpful for new deviants, and it can be helpful for other people too. Some people like to meet new people and make friends that have recently joined DeviantArt. So yeah, I will admit that the intention of it was good. It's just poorly executed. If they could give us a notification to disable it, then I would have no complaints. They just need to handle it a lot better. And of course, the main thing is being, so they don't, them giving us a notification so people who aren't interested in participating can just disable and move on. Another issue I have with it is it can welcome problematic users. That's another thing. And a lot of I heard a lot of people get really are welcomed to comment on deviations that are hateful or bad, or just something considered problematic. Sorry if I can't really speak very well. Something considered problematic. For example, I've heard people get asked to welcome porn posts. I've heard people get asked to welcome Nazi posts. And just in general too, sometimes people could be asked to welcome something that makes them feel uncomfortable or that's triggering for them. Thankfully, this hasn't really happened to me. I just get asked to welcome just things I don't care about or things that aren't really art. But luckily, I haven't been asked to welcome anything graphic yet, something that makes me feel uncomfortable. It's just stuff I don't give a shit about. Another thing too, this could actually be an issue for the new deviants, because some people may not feel comfortable with random people being asked to go over and comment. So not only can it make us feel annoyed, but it can also make new deviants feel uncomfortable. I actually have a long-ass list of reasons why this feature is problematic. I'm trying to remember them. But yeah, I go on DeviantArt and people hate this feature so much. I keep seeing hate memes out of it. I keep seeing status posts out of it, and I'm one of those people too. I've posted status posts and hate memes related to it. And I even posted a PSA. That's why I had a list of long reasons, because I actually typed them out for the PSA. And for some reason, the team does not see that. The team does not care. They still haven't added an option to turn these off, to allow us to turn these off. Like I said, I get what they were trying to do. I do. I get it, and there are people out there who do like to go out and welcome new people, but that's not everyone. Some of us just want to mind our own business with the people we already know, or some of us would rather meet people we already know, or meet people that have already been on DeviantArt for some time. Because that's how you know if they're problematic or not. It can be risky, because when someone first joins DeviantArt, you don't know what kind of person they are. So it can be extremely risky to have someone go out and welcome someone that's only been on DeviantArt for a month, a week, a day, an hour, even just a few minutes. Plus, not to mention, I've heard people will get asked to welcome deviants that have already been on DeviantArt for a while. I've heard people get asked to welcome deviants that have been on for like a year now. Hell, I've heard someone got asked to welcome a deviant that's been on for 10 years. So yeah, this feature is a little messed up. Plus, like I said, like I mentioned before, like, it's like a lot of the art has nothing to do with us. Like, if it was like something, like if it was like from a franchise we were in, or just like an interest we had, then we would be more interested. That's another issue I have with this feature, is like you don't even get art that like caters to like what you're interested in. You just get like random ass art. So more than likely, people are not going to care unless they get lucky. And another issue I have with this feature is, like, you can already see on the homepage. Occasionally, when you go on the homepage, there's actually like there will sometimes be a welcome new deviants banner, and then it'll have like deviations from new users. Like, why couldn't they just stick to that? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I have an issue in the homepage thing. It's just the notifications I have an issue with. But the issue I have is, in general, is it just makes the notifications even more pointless and annoying. So yeah. Like, I just don't get it. You can turn off notifications for badges. You can turn off notifications for Deviant Protect, which it will let you know when, which I have that turned off, actually. Like, I have the badges turned off because while I appreciate receiving llama badges, sometimes it can be kind of bothersome getting notifications for it. So that's why I turned those off. And then I also have Deviant Protect, or DeviantArt Protect, or whatever it's called, turned off because it's a little rigged. It's meant to like tell you like if someone re-uploaded your image, or if someone turned your artwork into an NFT or something, but the thing is, it will give false warnings. It will falsely accuse people of re-uploading artwork when it was just a collaboration, or like two people using the same pit grew. You know, it's a little flawed. So I have that turned off, so I don't have to deal with that nonsense. Hell, you can even turn mentions off. Mentions are actually very important because it basically because the purpose of mentions, like, it basically lets you know like if someone uploaded something that involves you. Like, whether it was like something that includes you, an art trade, a request, a point commit, or commissions in general, and like gifts. Like, it basically lets you know like if when somebody uploaded something for you. Or if you're just mentioning something, like it's actually important to have it on. With the exception of people abusing the mention system. I've been a victim of that. Like, I won't mention any names, but I've been tagged into something I've been tagged into stuff that has nothing to do with me. But that's an issue of the users, not DeviantArt. Not the DeviantArt staff, it's the users. They should not abuse the mention system. It should only be used for things that involves people. So yeah, we can turn off mentions, badges, DeviantArt Protect, but not this welcome new deviants bullshit. I'm gonna say it again. I get what they were trying to do, but people should not be forced to participate. Like I said, some people are just not social. Some people rather not trust new users. You know, people have a variety of reasons why they just rather not participate, and that should be respected. It should only be available for the people who do want to participate in it. Now, the other notifications I can understand why we don't have an option to turn off is because they actually have to do with us, like favorites and comments and replies. You know, those notifications are actually very important to us, so it makes sense that we don't have an option to turn those off. But it's bullshit that we don't have an option to turn the help welcome new deviants notifications off. Another issue I have with this notification, I don't know if I've already mentioned this, but like let's say you're waiting for a reply, or you're waiting for like a piece of art to come in, like an art trade or point commission, or just let's just say you're waiting on something, or you're just generally hoping to get like some acknowledgement on your art. So you see that notification and you're like, oh look, someone replied to my comment, someone favorited my deviation, or maybe a picture came in that I was waiting on. You click on it, boop, it's just the help welcome new deviants bullshit. That's one of the main issues people have with this feature. So yeah, like I said, do I think DeviantArt should just get rid of it altogether? No. But should it be executed better? Yes. We should have a notification. We should have a notification, an option in settings to turn these off. And I think, if possible, they should make it centered around like personalized art. Like you can like choose like some things you're interested in, like certain franchises or video game companies, or just certain interests. And then you'll get art from those particular interests and not just random ass art. They should also like when new users join, they should ask if they want to like be promoted, because like some people may be uncomfortable with that. Sure, most people probably want to have their art promoted, but there may be a few who are like really shy, or just want to be cautious, so they rather not be promoted to random people. So that should definitely be something to implement. So yeah. I mean, I have a long ass list of reasons why this is problematic. I just can't think of everything right now. I also hate it when people give the ignore excuse or turn it off excuse when you can literally do nothing about it. A lot of people who support, I mean, I'm not saying all people, but it seems like a lot of people who like this feature are toxic to those who do not. Look, if we had an option to turn these off, we would. I wouldn't be, I'm not going to complain about something if I can do something about it. I'm just going to turn it off and go on with my life. But like I said, since you cannot turn it off, at least not yet, people are going to complain, and I think people have the right to. Another thing is, let's say there is an option to turn it off, but people don't. Let's say there was an option to turn it off, and then people don't know. So they're gonna complain about the new Deviants feed, help welcome new Deviants notification. I don't think those people should just be bitched at either, because some people may not know how to go into their notifications, or some people, or like maybe eventually DeviantArt does give us the option to turn these notifications off, but a lot of people don't know it, so they just continue to deal with it. Like those, like let's say like something like that happens, like those people don't deserve to get bitched at either. They just deserve to be respectfully told, hey, you can turn these off now. This is how you do it. Yada, 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 yada. So, yeah. I hate it when I have a lot to say, but I forget about everything. Seems like I had a lot more to say. I wish I can pause my video so I can I can just think instead of having you guys wait on me. But yeah, those are the main issues I have with this feature. It being forced on us. It can welcome problematic users and deviations. Some things may be triggering or make other people feel uncomfortable. It's a letdown because like a lot of us are like hoping for a notification that has to do with us in a way, but it's just help this new deviant. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure this has made people not want to go on DeviantArt anymore, or at least not comment. That's the ironic thing about it. This feature was meant to help people mingle more easily, but instead it's making people just not want to comment so they don't get these notifications. So yeah, if anyone's watching this who follows me on DeviantArt, I apologize if I never comment on your stuff. It's just I don't want to deal with these notifications. Because that's why I don't comment. Because that's another thing. Like, it thinks just because you comment on stuff that you're, like, active or that you're eligible to be sent to welcome new deviants, which is really stupid. Just because I comment on shit I like, or especially when I'm, like, actually just replying to someone, that doesn't mean I'm wired to go out and welcome random deviants and random deviations. That's another aspect of it that's poorly executed. I just think this should be optional. I'm not saying it should be totally taken away from DeviantArt, but like, I'm sure anyone in their right mind can agree that it should not be forced on us. If you think this notification should be forced on us, then there's something wrong with you. I'm not saying there's like sorry. I'm not saying like people who like this notification, I'm not saying they have something wrong with them. I'm just talking about the people who think it should be forced on everyone. Like I said, like if some people like this feature, then that's cool. I can understand why some people like it. I just wish those people more of those people would understand why some people do not like this feature. And like, there are some people who have admitted to liking this feature but still believe in there should be an option to turn it off, and I applaud you for that. I'm glad there are people out there who think, even though they like this feature that they still don't believe it should be forced on people. That's good thinking right there. But yeah, it's just the people who think this should be forced on everyone, and people who complain about people who bitch at people who complain about it. Those are the people I have a problem with. And the people who give the ignore excuse and turn it off excuse, like, I'm also not a fan of those people. If you could turn it off, that would be a different story. But since you can't, then you can't just tell people to ignore it or to turn it off, because they can't. You can't expect people to ignore something when they have no choice but to deal with it. Like, you go into your notifications and you're hoping for like actual notifications, but you get help, welcome new deviants. Like, that's not something you can ignore. It's like telling someone to ignore pain or sickness. I'm not saying these notifications are a pain or sickness. That's not what I mean by my comparison. What I'm trying to say is, these notifications are like right there, like where the veins you need to be, like where everything else is, where like your veins are like, you have like the help, welcome new deviants notifications, and you have the notifications that have to do with you, all in the same place. So you can't expect people to ignore that. Another thing people suggest is having the help, welcome new deviants in a separate menu. That would honestly be very helpful too. That way, like, you have like your notifications, and then you have the welcome new deviants notifications, and you can just leave those alone unless you want to comment on something. That way they're not all mixed together. Then that would all be easier to ignore them. But since they're in the same place as your notifications, you can't expect people to ignore them. It's like telling someone to ignore, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good comparison, but I don't really know a good comparison for that. But yeah, I've dealt with that too. I've dealt with people using the ignore excuse and turn it off excuse, even though you can't turn it off or ignore. If you could turn them off, then those excuses will be valid. I'll admit that. If you could turn them off, then yeah, I can see why people would use the ignore and turn them off excuses then. Another person said you can turn off these notifications by dismissing the message. No, that's not true. Even if you do dismiss the messages, DeviantArt will continue to give them to you. So yeah. But yeah, point is, I'm not saying this feature should be removed altogether, but it needs to be executed a lot better in the ways I mentioned. Of course, the most important thing they could do is add an option to turn these off. We have options to turn off other types of notifications that we may not be a fan of, so why not these? Anyway, I think that's all I have to say for now. That's pretty much all I have to say, so bye, guys. If you agree with me, thank you. If you disagree with me, that's fine, as long as you respect people who don't like this feature and let them complain until if DeviantArt gives us an option to disable them. Alright, see you guys. Bye.